Greetings and praise the Lord. This is Reverend Professor Anu coming your way again with the Word of God. We are continuing our series on Ecclesiastes. We want to continue and go to Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Today we want to look at the twists and turns in life. Life is not a straight line. There are twists and turns in life. That makes life look unpredictable, uncontrollable by us. Life unfolds in a complex manner. That is why we cannot boast, because life's events and happenings are not in our hands. Every day is a miracle, because you don't even know that when you sleep, you wake up. You sleep well, you wake up with a stomach ache. You sleep well, you wake up with a headache. You wake up, and by the time you realize there is somebody who is going to give you a very big gift. You go for a business deal and you get the bigger deal than you expect. Or you go for a deal and you lose it. So life is full of twists and turns. You win some, you lose some. And it is that which Solomon wants us to look at in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, especially verses the first 8 verses of Ecclesiastes chapter 3. So let's turn our attention to Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and look at those verses. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verses 1 to 8. And there it says, "There is an appointed time for everything, and a time for every affair under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to harvest. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build up. A time to cry and a time to laugh. A time to grieve and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace and a time to turn away. A time to search and a time to quit searching. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be quiet and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate." So there are times for everything that we do under the sun. Now, when you look at these verses in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 to 8, there are 5 things that I have gathered from it concerning the twists and turns of life. The first lesson that I learned from these verses is that God has a timetable for your life and for my life. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 says, "There is an appointed time for everything and a time for every affair under heavens." So God has pre-planned and appointed times for everything that I do and you do in your life. Before you were born, He knew you from your mother's womb. Before I was born, He knew me. He knew the things I was going to do. And He has actually arranged the times for these things for me. So, and God, in doing this, is never too early or is never late. And God is never in a hurry too. He is always on time in the happenings in your life and my life. We need to avoid stress by being in a hurry. We need to accept that the happenings in our life are not in our hands. Yes, you know, God is the one who determines the seasons in our life. So we have to accept the seasons in our life, the events, the things that happen in our life are things that are controlled by God. Sometimes we are so much in a hurry. I'm in a hurry to get married. I'm in a hurry to get this business deal. I'm in a hurry to get this certificate. I'm in a hurry to build my house. And I'm in a hurry to sell my house. I'm in a hurry to buy a car. I'm in a hurry to sell my car. All these things that we are in a hurry for gives us a lot of stress. But if we are really aware and conscious of the fact that God has a perfect timetable for our lives and we would never be late or would never actually come too early, then things will work well for us. The second thing I realized in reading through these verses concerning the twists and turns in life is that life is full of contrasts. Life is full of contrasts. Solomon has said in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 2 to 8, is that 2 to 5, is that there is a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance. So there are contrasts. Sometimes you cry, but you don't cry all the time. Another time, your crying is contrasted by your laughing. Sometimes you dance and you are so overjoyed, but other times you grieve. So grief is a contrast to the dancing and the music that we enjoy. There's a time that we get sick and we are not happy, but there's a time when we are healed and we're happy. So there's all these contrasts that we have in life. Life is never a boring thing of one thing. Life is one thing after the other, and sometimes there's darkness and light that contrast each other. We go through mountains, we go through valleys, we go through successes, we go through failures, we have wins and we have losses. In the terms of weather, when you look at the weather in Ghana, we have the Harmattan season, we have the rainy season, and then we have the Harmattan season and all that. If you count it, you have just about 3 or 4 seasons. As we see in the European context, they have only 4 seasons. But in Ghana and some African countries, you have the rainy season when it's always raining and you are unhappy because there are floods. Then at another time, you have extreme sunshine and you have bushfires and other things, and you're not happy about it. But these contrasts are part of God's own ways of doing things in terms of the weather, which are limited. But with life, there are dozens of different seasons. And in every season of life, it includes both what? Good and bad times. So life is a combination of contrasting seasons. So we need to adjust ourselves to the fact that today we are having plenty and we are eating. Tomorrow we might not have anything. But in all these, we should know that that is the beauty of life. Life is a tapestry of contrasts which combine to make life go on. Thirdly, life's twists and turns are calculated. When you read Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 5 to 8, it says, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate. So life's happenings are not haphazard. They are calculated and arranged sequences by which life's twists and turns takes place. God has planned it in such a way that there's a time when he wants us to be looking for something. And there's a time when God himself will say, it is enough, quit searching for it. So there's something that we have to note. When God says, not now, it's not saying no. When God says later, it doesn't mean it will never happen. It just means God is saying to happen at another time. If God says it is enough, it doesn't mean that that is all. If it is enough for these, he's going to ask you to do another thing. There's a time to keep certain things and a time to throw away. And we need to know that these timings of God are very important in our life. You may think that the only time you are in God's will is when you are at church or having a quiet time. You can be in God's will as you are cleaning your bathroom, as you are cleaning your house. You can be in God's will as you are mowing your lawn. You can be in God's will when you move to a new location or stay right where you are. There is a time and a season for everything. If you do the wrong thing at the wrong time, it will turn out to be wrong. If you do the right thing at the wrong time, it will turn out to be wrong. You have to know that you have to do the right thing at the right time, and it will be perfect. So they are calculated in terms of when you have to do something and when you have to do another thing. And this is determined by actually looking at the will of God and listening to the still small voice of God. When God says not yet, you have patience to wait. When God says go, you go, irrespective of seeing that there are so many things around you which are so happy for yourself. But God says this job is enough. Once he ministers into your spirit that is enough, just move on. Maybe you are in a place of plenty, but God says move to a place that looks like desert. When you move to the desert, God can lead you to greener pastures in the desert. So may you know that your life is a calculated life in the economy of God, and the twists and turns that come are part of that whole tapestry of your life of success. In conclusion, because of the twists and turns of life, you need to be circumspect in facing life. When we say circumspect, we are saying that you need to be careful and cautious in the way you handle life. Some of the happenings in life might not be convenient, but we are not living a life of convenience. We are living a life in the light of God's will. So in that, we look out for the twists and the turns. And as the twists and the turns come, we become very circumspect. We don't become careless. We don't become stressed out and anxious. We are not too much in a hurry. We don't actually give up. We keep on keeping on, knowing that at the end of the tunnel, what our God has purposed will come to pass. Because all these things that we do is to fulfill what we call the appointed time of God, as said in Ecclesiastes chapter 1. And to fulfill the appointed time of God is to fulfill the purpose for which we are created. And to fulfill the purpose for which we are created, we have to be very conscious of the contrasts in our life as they come. The contrasts in our lives are to build us and to prepare us for greater success. And we also have to know that each of them is perfectly calculated in the economy of God. None of them will come too early or too late. Because as Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 says, the vision and mission for your life will surely come to pass. It will not delay. It will surely come to pass. It will never delay. The delays that we see are delays that God himself has caused so that it will help us to propel ourselves to his perfect will in our life. So may God help you to be very circumspect in dealing with the twists and turns of life. Now, I don't know the twist that has come and you're about to give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel, no matter how bad it seems, because God is there. He just wants to know how you respond or you react to this particular situation of dead end. God would open your eyes and you'll be able to see further than your nose. And that is where you see that this twist, this turn, is towards the fulfillment of the purpose of life for you today. God bless you. Thank you very much for listening to me. This has been Reverend Professor Anon coming your way with the Word of God from Ecclesiastes, which is our series in this season. May God help you to know that whatever you are going through is known by God, and He is going to help you understand that particular part that fits His perfect timetable. I have come your way with the Word of God from my YouTube and from my Facebook and Instagram. And I'll come your way every Sunday at 7:30 a.m. with the Word of God. So tune in. Shalom.